Discussions in Depth Psychology is powered by Pacifica Graduate Institute. Your host is Bonnie Bright. Hi everyone, I'm Bonnie Bright and I'm an alumna of Pacifica Graduate Institute, and I'm here today with depth psychotherapist and dream tender, Dr. Douglas Thomas. Douglas, thanks so much for being with me today.
Good to be here.
Well, we just wanted to take a few minutes and talk a little bit about some of the exciting things that are happening, particularly around dreams and a process called DreamTending, and also the Global Dream Initiative, which we'll be hearing much more about at the Pacifica 40th Anniversary Celebration Conference, which is taking place in Santa Barbara, April 21st through the 24th of 2016. First of all, we're going to be talking about the process and practice of DreamTending, which was originally created by Steven Aizenstat, who's the Chancellor of Pacifica Graduate Institute, and he's been doing this practice and teaching and training people in it for quite some time. Maybe you can just share a little bit about your own background with dreams, Douglas, and tell us how you came to be interested in them. As a depth psychotherapist, I'm sure that dream tending is kind of a natural extension of what your interests are and what it is that you're doing. But how did you come to being interested in working with dreams in the first place?
Well, it goes back even further than the start of my career. My father was one of the lead animators for Walt Disney Studios and animated quite a few scenes that people are probably very familiar with, grew up watching Lady and the Tramp eating spaghetti and Bambi and Thumper skating on the ice. So it was a normal part of my life as a child growing up to be in a household with somebody that had a very artistic, aesthetic eye and regularly viewed the world as a place that was animated and full of life and personality and character. So it felt really like coming home to meet Steve Aizenstat and start training in dream tending, where one of the primary ways that we work with dreams is called animation. So that was a very natural fit for me. And to approach dreams as something that is embodied and alive was something that was just very exciting to me. It came actually at a time in my life when it was the last year of my father's life. So there was even more of a kind of an emotional passing off, if I can use that expression, of picking something up, which I think he would have been so fascinated by and would have loved so much. And so it's a great joy to have that in my life as a way to be connected to him and carry it forward in my work as a depth psychologist.
What a beautiful synchronicity, and what a rich environment for you to sort of grow from and then be able to put your branches out into the world. It feels really rich and exciting. I'm very fascinated by this idea of dream tending, which of course many who will be watching this know that Steve Aizenstat started this process of tending dreams. But what's happening now that's so exciting is that all of this is being put now toward a new initiative called the Global Dream Initiative, which has been slowly kind of growing and gathering some steam, but it's really, I think, moving into a new phase where it's going to be much more accessible. So can you share just a little bit about the Global Dream Initiative and what we can look forward to with that?
Sure. Yeah, I think that the Global Dream Initiative has evolved based on a couple things that have been happening in the world for some time now. You know, one of them is very obviously the global crisis which we are witnessing in terms of the environment and the planet changing under the stress that human beings are placing it under. So at Pacifica Graduate Institute and in depth psychology, when you go further in the direction of the work of James Hillman and the archetypal psychologists, it's a very natural step to imagine the world as having a soul. The psyche is not only a human phenomenon, and it's not a phenomenon that's contained inside the interior of an individual. It's a field of activity, of subjective activity. And we can imagine that field extending out into the things and places of the planet. So the idea is that in the planet's distress, one of the ways that it finds to express that and communicate to us is through our dreams, where we are contained within that same subjective field as the other things of the planet. And it gives us a way to listen to what is happening in the world in a different way than we listen with our waking minds. And using the principles of dream tending, then we can start to take care of those images and respond to them in a different way than might occur to us in waking life. So that's one piece of how the GDI has developed. The other has been Steve's ongoing work with the United Nations Earth Charter and this international effort to address the problems of the planet. And along with that, we have the development of technology where it becomes easier and easier for us to form online communities and connect with other people that are remotely located. So it's no longer a question of having dream groups like the kind that I lead in my therapy office, where I have 6 people that come together and share dreams and we work them. But it's actually a very, very realistic possibility to have a community of dreamers online that are all in different locations that can come together via one of these internet platforms and tend dream. Now, along with that, isn't it interesting if we start to have some kind of a database that we can be developing on an ongoing basis, cataloging the types of dreams that people are having at different times in the course of the year with the changing of the seasons, at different times in the course of global events? How is the psyche responding to that? And to have some kind of a large-scale effort that is looking at these patterns seems like something that is a very rich opportunity, both in terms of research and as a way of responding to the intelligence that is embedded innately into the planet through the world psyche. So these are the things that the GDI, the Global Dream Initiative, is trying to pull together.
This is just so amazing. You know, if I stop to think for a moment, even as a depth psychotherapist, from that kind of perspective, the understanding that the earth is ensouled is one thing, and I think it's quite amazing. But the idea that actually we can look at dreams as the voice of the earth is something that, for me, even expands those boundaries beyond what I had been able to imagine for the greater part of my life. And I suspect that for a lot of people, this is not only kind of a new idea, but just as equally exciting as I can possibly imagine. And for those of us who are really concerned about the planet and the ecological crisis that we know is really in the works, and the harm that we have generally done to the planet, it's really a way to be able to do something actively around what that is, even if we feel like we're living, you know, to the extent that we can, that we are recycling and doing good things for the planet on any other level, to be able to turn to this more depth psychological way of communing with the earth and being able to bring those images forward and then work with them in whatever depth psychological way that we can, it becomes a very different thing. And it's just so exciting to hear you talk about it, the way that you're sharing it, the idea of bringing dreams and dreamers together and then collecting those dreams and being able to share those. And again, technology is really a profound factor in this, so it's very exciting.
One thing I want to add to that, which is especially appealing about this idea, is, you know, every time that we connect with people around the world online, you know, we're reducing that necessity of travel, which is, of course, you know, impacting the carbon footprint that all of us are contributing to with airline travel or automobile travel. So we're really hoping that this is the growing edge of something in the future that is another way of responding to the problems that we're facing with the world.
Exactly. Yeah, really beautiful. Well, just as we close out, I know, again, I had mentioned that Pacifica is doing their 40th anniversary conference, and we have some special things planned around the Global Dream Initiative as we launch that and start to let people get to know a little bit about it. So can you share a little bit about what your plans are and what's in store?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to have a room at Pacifica devoted to the Global Dream Initiative for people that are attending the conference to come by and see more in person about what the GDI is about. And there will be some films covering some of the background and related issues to the Global Dream Initiative. And then we're also going to do 2 online demonstrations, one on Friday during the noon hour and the second on Saturday during the noon hour. And that'll give people the opportunity, if they're not there at Pacifica, to log on and tune in and see us actually tend a dream. I'll be there in the room at Pacifica, but I'll be tending the dream with somebody who's in a remote location, a dreamer who will be sharing a dream. And we're not rehearsing this, we're not preparing it. So it's one of those things where we're going to be flying by the seat of our pants and trusting the intelligence of the psyche to show up like she always does, and give us the material that we need to listen into and respond to, so that people will have a taste of how this technology works and how Tending a Dream online works, which is really a big part of what we want to see happen with the Global Dream Initiative.
That's just wonderful. Thank you, Doug. It's going to be really exciting to be able to see that in action, and I hope that everybody who is able to view this will tune in for that. If you are hearing this and you are interested in the Global Dream Initiative, there's a website in the works at globaldreaminitiative.com, which should be launched by April 21st when the conference starts, and that will be a place where you can go to get more information and also to indicate your interest. So be on the lookout for that, and I hope that everyone will be inspired to learn more about the Global Dream Initiative and get involved in some way. Thank you so much, Douglas, for your time today. It's been wonderful to speak with you and to learn a little bit more about DreamTending, about the Global Dream Initiative, and also about what you have planned along with Steve Aizenstat and the team for Global Dream Initiative. I've been speaking with Dr. Douglas Thomas, who is a depth psychotherapist and a dream tender. And I encourage everybody to check out Doug's website at drdouglasthomas.com. Thanks so much for being with me, Douglas.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Discussions in Depth Psychology is powered by Pacifica Graduate Institute. Your host is Bonnie Bright.